friends, new friends, old friends, pals, acquaintances, enemies. I don't know if you're listening or not. I don't even know if I have enemies. If I do, please let me know. I'd like to know who you are. Welcome back for another week of One More Round with me, your host, Tricia Black. The show where I sit down with a number of incredible, wonderful guests who I am inspired by, friends who I adore, and people that I think you should just be aware of that are in and around the world, I suppose, as it is. And it's kind of like an East Coast kitchen party, except if that kitchen... we're a studio or a studio apartment, and the conversation were the party. And this week is no different. This week, my guest is an incredible actor, comedian, writer, director, wonderful mother, very dear friend of mine, the wonderful Paloma Nuñez. We talk everything from going to Catholic school. She's American Canadian, so she has dual citizenship. And what is that like? And of course, the most important thing we chat about are all things Blue Jays, Maple Leafs, and of course, how the Raptors are the NBA champions still. Thank you, COVID. We talk about sports and what it's like being in sports, and should sports come back? I don't know. I don't know if I'm prepared for sports to come back, but that's all to come soon on the podcast, and you will meet Paloma, and it will be a blast, or a hoot and a holler, as I like to say. How's everyone's week been? Mine's been pretty good. I guess a highlight of my week has been that it has rained a lot this week. I know that maybe that doesn't sound like a highlight, but it has cooled the air down, which I appreciate because me and humidity do not do well. I'm from the East Coast, so I'm used to being around a lot of, lakes, oceans, and you get that nice breeze. And here in Toronto, we don't get a huge breeze. But the weather has, and it's also allowed me to sit down and take a second and actually get back to watching some TV. I've been really into Below Deck. I'll talk about Below Deck to anybody, anytime, anywhere. So if you love Below Deck, please let me know and I will chat with you because I am deep. I've gone back to the beginning and it is exciting. A low light of my week. I don't know if I have a low light so far. Maybe all the rain because then I couldn't get out as much as well. So it's kind of like the thunder showers that were happening this week were a bit of a double highlight low light, I suppose. I didn't get to go out for my hikes like I normally do, which was a bit sad for me because I love doing that. After talking to Paloma, it made me really think about sports again and how long I played sports and the different sports that I've played. I played softball for, good, I would say 15 years of my life. Probably from the age of 7 until I was 20. And I worked hard at softball. I mean, surprise, I played softball, but I was a catcher. I played third base, but mostly catcher. So I have shin splints now, which aren't very fun. But then I was thinking about sports movies and women in sports and how A League of Their Own is probably the only a female sports movie that really resonated with me as a kid. The All-American League, Gina Davis, Rosie O'Donnell, Madonna. Oh my gosh, Madonna in that movie is probably the sexiest thing I've ever seen in the entire world. And that scene in that movie where she does they sneak out and they give food poisoning, or they poison, I guess it's not food poisoning, they just poison the poor woman who's in charge of them, and they sneak out and she's dancing with all of these men and it's so sexy, and Rosie's so funny in it, and Gina Davis is also gorgeous, and then Bill Pullman shows up and Tom Hanks. I didn't even mention Tom Hanks. There's no crying in baseball. That is a phenomenal movie. That movie, they're remaking it into a TV series apparently, so I've heard, which I cannot wait to see. But I also thought about how I tried to play basketball once. No, I played probably all through middle school. I wasn't great. I'm short. I don't stand too tall. I'm 5'3" right now, and I was 5'3" then. I sprouted really quick at an early age. And I play basketball, and I remember my mom tells this story when I was little that I was running back and forth on the court, and these moms were making fun of me of course the moms make fun of me, and she had to like tell them off. And my mom, you don't know her, but I do, and she's very quiet and doesn't like confrontation, but she let them know. So I wasn't great at basketball, but I loved I keep bringing up movies, but I remember watching Michael Jordan when I was a kid, and Scottie Pippen, and loving the Chicago Bulls because a friend of mine was like super into basketball. I remember we probably watched the movie Love and Basketball like every weekend. And I loved it so much. And honestly, right now, I kind of want to get back into basketball. I would love to shoot some hoops. Maybe spend an afternoon shooting some hoops and then come home, watch Space Jam, maybe a mid-afternoon viewing of Space Jam because Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan is perfection. And LeBron, no thank you. I don't want a Space Jam 2. No offense, but the one is classic and you can't change it. And then I would like to finish the night off by rewatching the Raptors winning the NBA championship because it was worth it. And I don't know if you can see, but I don't have a Raptors jersey, unfortunately, and that makes me make a note that I've got to get one. But I am wearing my Blue Jays jersey. See? And my Blue Jays jersey, I bought on a whim when I went to see a game, and I've been a huge Blue Jays fan since I was a little kid. And I could probably talk about my childhood and my sports obsessions for a long time, but I will not bore you with that. I think I've gabbed enough on my own here off the top. I hope everyone's had a great week, and I hope you're ready to listen to my interview with the wonderful Paloma Nuñez. Let's go to that now. She is a Canadian-American actor, writer, and director. Ooh, dual citizenship. She was recently seen in the show that I was very lucky to share the stage with her in the Canadian Comedy Award-winning sketch show She the People with Second City Toronto. She was in the Dora Award-winning The Wonder Pageant at Coal Mine Theatre. When she's not on stage, you can see her on screen in Baroness von Sketch, Shazam, and the Oscar-winning film Spotlight. Ooh. When she's not acting, she is directing or she is spending time laughing with her wonderful family, and I've met them and they are absolutely wonderful. And from being backstage with her for 2 years, she is a huge sports fan. It's my babe. I love her and you will as well. Please welcome Paloma Nuñez.
Hey, how are you?
I love that.
Like a little tadpole,
like a little
I?
tadpole just coming right up through.
Like a little sperm
cute.
looking for an egg.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Like a little worm.
I was like, don't fall. It was so embarrassing.
Oh, it's not embarrassing. It was great entrance. It was amazing.
Well, you know what's embarrassing? What's happening below the camera that you can't see my legs being all like, don't fall.
Well, and that's the like bonus of this quarantine and doing things like this because we can only see the upper half. So no one really knows what you got going on down under. So,
and I'll never tell you.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Paloma, thanks so much for being here. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Me too. It's just so nice. It's also just so nice to see you. Although I do feel like you're kind of in my bubble now because we recently had a nice little social distance backyard hang.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we didn't touch. We still didn't break our bubble rules, but you know.
Yeah, we also sat 6 feet apart.
Still feels close. Yeah, it still feels great. It's so nice to see people face to face.
Yes, and actually talk and have a conversation outside. You have such a nice backyard. I'm very jealous of it. And we saw little skunks.
Oh, I have a skunk update. Maybe I'll tell you that later.
Oh my gosh, no.
I found a little baby skunk, one of the 4. So we saw a mama and 4 little babies, and they were like, it was like a mama tail and then a little baby tail. So this is what our view was. If you like hand puppetry. And yesterday wasn't the next day. So yesterday I saw like the bushes moving in the afternoon. And I was like, and it was a little baby skunk. And he was like a little like woozy and not kind of moving right. So I poured water on him. I gave him water. I gave him some mushed up banana. I put like a little tiny umbrella to give him shade. Yeah. But I think after doing some research and the person I was talking to, we think it might be distemper. So,
oh no.
and now I can't find him anywhere. And then, so I hate to end this story with a sad
That's okay.
skunk tale.
It's so sad. They were so
cute. It is very sad. You know what? Let's come back. Let's reschedule this.
Let's reschedule. I can't do this right now. I mean, it was crazy. I know, too emotional. They were so cute. What did you? I hope it wasn't. What we named them something, right? What was the name?
Oh, that's right. We named them Oliver, Stewville, Cheddar and Whiskey.
I just can't even imagine it being any of them.
I know, especially once you name them.
Then they become real. They become a real part of your life.
You also could be an optimist and think that maybe, a little bit of water, the water I poured on him, because it was obviously scorching hot, and the banana and the shade, maybe he was revived. But
he could have been. I believe it. That's what I'm going to go with, the optimist outlook of this story, because I think we have to this point. Why not? Because it was so hot. We're in like a heat wave right now. So maybe it was just disoriented from the heat.
Yeah.
And my dog
see this sweat on my upper lip?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you see my face getting redder and redder as we talk?
No. You look great.
That's good. Thank you. I'm wearing my Raptors hat just for you.
Thank you. I wore zero Raptors gear.
Well, that's okay.
I didn't bring anything.
I did it to honor you. You don't have to honor me. I wanted to honor you, Paloma. How are you doing besides sad skunkies? How is everything?
I'm good. I'm really good. We're swimming sometimes because it's hot out. We're, I don't know, running around with children. I have 2 kids and I'm.
Yes. 2 boys.
You know what? Kids make you feel old. 2 boys. What was I thinking? You know what I was thinking? There was no pandemic. So that's what I was thinking. So.
Yes. But they're very sweet boys, but I can understand the energy that they exude is a lot.
Yes. They are hyper wild boys, and they need it. And I feel bad for them that I'm just like, I can't provide all of the running around energy that they need to,
of course,
expend.
Yes, that's why kids go to school, because they can meet other little people like them who have the same interests and have the same energy, and they can run around together and wear each other out.
Yeah. And like have their weird little bits, and that's fun for them. And you're not like, you're bum. Yeah, you're bum. Fart. I mean, although Trish obviously likes a good fart joke, so hey, I'm killing you.
Today during the thunders, because there's a huge thunderstorm in Toronto today. It was like a squall coming in. And the thunder scared my dog. I will say my dog's been having some bum issues. And it scared her so much that and she doesn't toot very often, but she was a tootin', and it was stinky. Yeah. She puked.
Ooh. She puked because of the thunderstorm?
Yeah, poor thing was so scared. Yeah, Maggie, for people who are listening, Maggie's like she's a mix between a border collie and a black lab and a whippet. So she's a huge dog, but she is such an anxious dog and gets scared by so many little things. The mailman, the girl who lives in the basement apartment at our house, squirrels, other big dogs, thunder. So today was a bit of a rough day.
Of course. Most dogs are scared of thunder. Yes. So absolutely everyone gets it. Yes. Poor little Maggie.
I know, but every time she farts, it's funny because she scares herself.
Does it make a sound, or is it just like, oh, you just suddenly smell it?
Sometimes it makes a sound because she sits like E.T. a bit. So she sits like right on her butt. So it vibrates on the floor.
Actually, speaking of sitting like that, my 2-year-old was just like lying on, and he, for some reason, wanted to sit. So he was like sitting with his butt right here and let 3 huge toots rip.
3 huge toots on the shoulder. How rude.
Yeah. I was like, Diego, you don't realize how great of a bit you just did. And like, I'm not sure you did it on purpose, but like, that's the reason you would go and sit on someone, is to fart
on them. Absolutely. That kid's going to be in comedy. There's no doubt about it.
So he already knows this. Boy. Poor kid.
Poor kid, bless. Paloma, I know we're both in Toronto, but like whereabouts in the city? I mean, I know where you live, but for people who are listening who don't know, I'm privy to that information.
I know you do know. Hey, everyone, I'll tell you. I live in Roncesvalles area. I think it's like Roncesvalles Village. near High Park. So I'm in the West End, right before High Park, which is a spectacular area. Very, very yuppie, but also very liberal.
Yeah.
We elected an NDP MPP, and we got a liberal MP, and Ward Perks is our city councilor. So very, very fun liberal people.
Yeah, I love Roncesvalles. It's like probably one of my favorite parts of the city. I love when you like walk down Ronce, like the strip, like I call it the main street of Roncesvalles. It truly feels like you're not in the city and that you're in like a small town. Like it makes me feel like I'm in Sackville, New Brunswick, which I talk a lot about already on this podcast, but I loved Sackville because that's where I went to university and I feel like I practically grew up. But the main street of that small town reminds me of Roncesvalles, and like everyone is like seems to be more polite there and like friendly and says hi, and I just love all of the little shops.
Yeah, and like lots of like local stores, not a lot of franchises. I think I wonder if there was a mandate. I don't even know, but like there's I think one Starbucks and it's outside of I would say the main part of the strip.
Right.
And then there's like a Gabby's.
Yeah.
That's the only franchises that I see on Ronce except for like maybe like a Sobeys, like a grocery store or like a necessity store, but it's not usually a lot of restaurants. So everything's kind of like locally owned, and that's really nice, but it's also expensive.
Yeah, it's pricey. Yeah. No, I get it. But I love the local there. Have you ever been to the local?
Of course. Absolutely. Yes. Great bands.
Yes. Bluegrass Mondays are probably my favorite. I love
Fun
it
energy. Beers on tap. It's great.
Beers on tap.
Except I haven't been in ages.
I know. None of us
That's from
have.
our old lives.
Our old lives. What were those lives? I don't even know anymore. And speaking of local bars and beers on tap, Paloma, as you know, and I've let a lot of the listeners know that this podcast is where I sit down with a person that I want to get to know or that I already know and I feel like they deserve to know while we have a drink or two or three. So today we're going to have a drink. So let's see what you're drinking, Paloma. I dropped these off for Paloma. So I was like, I'm forcing her to drink these.
And you know what? I'll comply. Thank you. So I've got some Woodhouse IPA, which is actually also in the West End. It's very close to here.
Yeah, I picked them up. They're right at Lansdowne and College. Yeah, and between College and Dundas, because it's right close to my girlfriend's place. So I was walking on my way to our backyard hang, and I said, "Well, I might as well get some Woodhouse." Also, it's nice to support some local brews, you know.
And it's great that you chose a brewery in my hood.
Yes, that's what we want to do. There's so many good breweries in the city. I've been trying to try them all right now, and I'm excited. Oop, she's got it all ready to go. I'm going to show you what I'm drinking.
Yes, please. What are you drinking, Tricia?
I love just clinking it around so people can hear it. But I'm also drinking Woodhouse, but I found this one called Apricot Saison. An apricot saison that I'm going to give a go, I think. And then I have just their lager, which I really like. It's just a nice, easy to drink.
This IPA is great. I just had my first sip. I was waiting for you to bring it up so I could drink it.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to...
Let's hear it. Let's hear that sound. It's like the best part of the day when you get to crack these. Am I right?
It truly is. I was waiting today. Like I had a bunch of work to do and it was so hot and I was running errands. And then I was like, I can't wait till it gets to Paloma and me hanging out time and getting to have one of these. Let me see what this first sip is like. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Oh my goodness. That is so good. That is so good. It's apricot. Have you ever had, it's a Quebec brewery, but they have an apricot beer.
Oh my God. I know it. I know it because they sponsored Fringe.
Yeah.
It's like St. Ambrose. That's what it is. St. Ambrose.
So it's similar to that. It's a bit lighter, but I always find those beers kind of taste like, the first time I had a St. Ambrose apricot ale was somewhere in Nova Scotia, and it tasted like Fruitopia.
Yeah, it's a little sweet, right? Yeah, so it's a good hot day. I'm gonna have one in the afternoon.
Yeah,
but me and Tricia, we're probably gonna have like more than one beer.
We're gonna have more than one beer for two. Also, this goes down super nice. So I know. I feel like you and I have had many a beers over the last few years.
Many. And we're always the ones who choose beer, like backstage after our shows and stuff. We were always like beer.
Yeah,
and we'd go to the LCBO and buy just like a bunch of IPAs and have them in the fridge.
Yeah, that was so nice. Because we met, the first time we ever really met, I guess, getting to know each other probably was when we first did She the People, I'd assume.
Yeah, I've seen you perform and I knew you, but I didn't, I don't think, like, maybe we said Trish Paloma, like, hi, like, I'm Trish, I'm Paloma, but I don't even know if we officially had.
I don't know either, because I don't even know if we had done, it's so hard to remember what shows you've done and what you haven't and who you've done things with and who you haven't. Because after a while,
and like when those fell in the timeline of your life.
Yeah, because they all kind of blend in. But I know like for me, the first moment was when we did She the People. And I remember being so nervous because I like everyone in that cast I like loved. And I was really scared.
I was like, ooh, Tricia Black, I've heard so many great things about her and I can't wait to work with her. So this is great. And like, as it is when you do theater and shows like this, you get to know everyone very well. I would say you get close with everyone, but it's not always everyone that you get close with because maybe you decide you don't like them. But most people, I'd say most of the time, 99% of the time, everyone's wonderful and great. And Trish, I feel like we got so close.
We did. I remember the day that for me that I was like, Paloma and I are going to be like best friends. And I think I said this when we did E-Talk Canada too. It was like the one thing I said on that interview was that I remember the day that you were like, can I just hug you? And I was like, yes, I love hugs. And then we hugged and it was just like a moment of being like, yep, this is a perfect friendship and it's going to be amazing for years to come.
Yeah, because I'm a touchy-feely, affectionate person, and
me too.
And Trish is like, oh, I'll do that. Yeah, I'm in. Meow, meow.
Paloma's got a little lamb. She's got a lammy.
And Trish told me she wanted him to come out.
I did. I wanted him to come out. Here he is. I do love it. It's so cute. You also I also loved when we did She the People that you had like your youngest son on there a lot for the rehearsals, which was like so nice to be able to also watch him grow up, I guess, over the last couple of years, which has been like crazy. Obviously, it's probably crazy for you as a mom.
It is true that you get to see him grow up. And I think that's kind of special because I feel like that cast specifically has like a nice bond with him, whether he knows it or not, because he doesn't remember. He was like 4 months old or 3 or 4 months old.
So tiny.
Which was crazy. Yeah. But yeah, like I was so pumped to do that show and they asked me and they were like, we know you have like a 3-month-old baby and you probably won't want to do this, but do you? And I was like, yes, I do. But truly, I think like it's when you have your second kid, you're kind of a lot more like, yeah. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I've done this. Yeah. So I felt that way, although I still feel like, there was a lot of time I didn't spend with him that I could have. But he still got to experience some really rad things. He watched all of our lighting cues.
Yeah. And also like he's at such a young age too that he probably like won't affect him in any way, like he's like, my mom's here now, here we are. And he's going to be, like you said, he was tooting on your shoulder. So he's going to be a comedian. And I think we have to watch out for him.
Yeah. And he has a little temper. So we'll see how that works out for his life. No, I want this part.
Give it to me now.
Yeah. Like, because that's his tactic at this age is just screaming until he gets what he wants. And you're just trying to be like, what if you tried like a little, I don't know, sugar? Just flattery, compliments? No, too young for that.
Too young.
He's
too
two,
young.
by the way, everybody, if you're listening, you're not sure. I don't know if I said it. He's 2 years old. And I think he might be cresting on those terrible twos.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those. I've heard, my mom said that when I was I had my terrible twos, but she said it didn't last long. I guess when I was little, my mom took me to Zellers and apparently I was like screaming for something. I wanted something and I was screaming about it. And my mom just like gently took whatever it was out of my hand, put it down, put everything back. And we walked out of the store and went home. And my mom was like, you never did it again, because I knew that I would never get anything if I screamed like that. I knew just to be a good, quiet kid, and then I'd get what I wanted. Smart.
See, already smart. Very smart. My kid not learning that. And I'm literally telling him, you don't get what you want when you scream. And then he also knows how to turn on the charm. He'll be like, ask me nicely, and I go, please, after just screaming at you. So when you experience the like Jekyll and Hyde in real time, it's intense.
Of course.
You're like, you're driving me crazy. Please. Like, well, you just melted my heart.
Well, fine. You're so cute. Have you seen that? Have you seen that? I don't know if it's on Instagram. I think they're on Instagram now, and they were TikTok, and it's this little boy who just always says, "Thank you, mama." And she always hands him food, and every time he says, "Thank you, mama," and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Is that the little kid who's getting like this incredible meals on his little plate?
Yeah.
Okay, because I watched it without the sound on and was just like, this kid is such a good eater. He's not picky. He's so happy.
Yeah, you got to put the sound on.
And on top of it, he's saying, thank you, mama.
Thank you, mama.
Wow.
And there's times he goes, wow.
Whoa.
Whoa. And he's also the most fashionable kid I've ever seen. Like, I want what he's wearing. That happens a lot. I see young children wearing cool clothes, and I go, that's not fair. Why can't I wear that?
Yeah. Honestly,
I'm just a big kid. Give me the clothes.
Yeah, why can't we have those outfits? I want those dresses that those little girls get with the like dress. What is it? Like dressy underwear, diaper cover. I'm like, why can't I have that?
Yeah, right.
Would absolutely be wonderful. That your dress blows up and you're like, oh, look how cute she's wearing. Like, I don't know, fluffy diaper cover.
I think maybe that's why, as an adult, we can't wear fluffy diaper covers.
And maybe that's a bit creepy. But you know what? Never mind. I just creeped myself out. Will this make the cut? Who knows? Diaper underwear
covers. Oh my gosh. So Paloma, I know this, that you're Canadian American.
Yeah.
What does it feel like having dual citizenship? Being able to, I mean, I guess right now we don't really want to go down to our southern neighbors, but how, like, where did you grow up? I know you grew up, I think, in Sudbury, right? Mostly?
Yeah. My life is a little wild. I was born in Chicago, and then I lived there till I was 1. And then my mom and my dad moved to Florida. My dad is from Mexico, and he literally, truly could not handle the weather. And he like got pneumonia and stuff at like, I don't know, 28 or whatever. So very young to get that sick because he was working construction outside. So they were like, we need to go where it's a little more, I think, your style. Considering like he'd probably never, ever seen snow, been anywhere where it gets that cold. And Chicago gets cold.
Yeah.
So they moved to Florida, and then my parents got divorced, and then my mom found a Canadian, and she married him, so she moved us to Sudbury. So I moved from Sarasota, Florida to Sudbury, Ontario.
That is
horrific. So I was the only Paloma Nuñez in Sudbury, Ontario, and then I went to an all-Catholic school. And I'd been raised agnostic, so like no religion really. But I was baptized Catholic, but my mom's Jewish, so I'm Jewish. So woohoo, I could marry anyone. And then I went to the school, but I didn't know any like Catholics love their prayers.
Yes, they do.
Reciting their prayers a lot.
Yeah.
Are you Catholic too?
I am Catholic, yeah. I mean, not practicing. I'm not practicing.
But you grew up with some of that.
Yeah, I went through all of the phases that you do when you're Catholic, and all of the up and down and kneeling and praying and repeating. Like I could some of the things that, because the priest has like such a like what's the word I'm looking for? Cadence, and like also a regiment. Like every week, it's like he says the same thing. So I was like be sitting in church being like, and then like mouthing what he was about to say because I knew, and it was very boring.
So boring. And so we had to go, and I went too, but because I only started at 8 years old, I missed my first communion. So I was never allowed to have communion. So, you know, like just being a little Paloma Nuñez, being a little Mexican, Jewish, Floridian person in a Sudbury, which is in this area was very Italian. very Catholic area, and I wasn't allowed to go up and take communion. So those things. So now, to spite things, whenever I'm in a Catholic church and there's communion, I get up and take it. What are you going to do about it, huh? What are you going to do?
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 Jesus would be like, eat.
Yeah,
God,
Jesus would be like,
eat, girl.
Eat me. Eat the body of me.
Yeah.
Come on. That's why I died. So you could eat the body of me and drink my blood. I mean, that's
Gulp,
the
gulp,
point.
gulp,
Gulp,
you know?
gulp, gulp. And as a child, I was not allowed to have the wine. We had to have juice. But then,
Juice.
but then we were allowed to have wine. It was confusing sometimes. I didn't understand, and I only liked the wafers that tasted like ice cream cones. I didn't want none. I didn't want the bread because there was the white wafers that tasted like ice cream cones, and then there was the bread. And I was like, I want the ice cream cone one, please. Which is just bland.
See, no one gave me anything because they were like, you can sit over there, because they knew I didn't have my first communion.
How do they know?
Yeah, that one.
How do they know?
I don't know. I don't know how they know, because I guess you get a certificate or something like that. I don't know. I had to like show my baptism. I didn't. My mom took care of this because I was a little kid. So I don't know what paperwork you get if you get your first confession, first communion, whatever. I didn't have the paperwork, I suppose.
So funny. It's so weird. Religion is so weird. So in all of this that was happening while you were living in Sudbury, how did you become such a big sports fan? Like, where does sports land for you in your life? Like,
so my grandfather on my mom's side, from Chicago, huge White Sox fan. So our family lived a little bit in the south side of Chicago. And so huge White Sox fan, lifelong White Sox fan. We'd go visit in Chicago. A White Sox game was always in order. So I remember going to see them. I can't say I cared. It's such a fun event to go around where there's all these people. You get snacks and treats and food. Do you think I didn't really give a crap about what was going on? I had no idea.
Right.
But I think just like that tradition, as you get older, you start to be into it. And I remember even, like, my mom is a moderate sports fan, but I remember she would always watch like the big final ones, especially the World Series. So no matter who was in it, she would be like, oh, this team is in, and la, la, la. And then in the morning would be like, guess who won the World Series? So I guess it was just kind of like a slow thing. And then moving to Sudbury, and after, I only did 1 year at that Catholic school because it was really awful. Yeah. But we also moved to a different area, and I went to a public school. And then as I got older, got really into hockey. Ooh. Watching the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I watched that like season with Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark and all of those. And like, I had a TV in my room, and my stepdad would make me turn off my TV at bedtime. But I'm like, these games are incredible. How do you expect someone to go to bed? So I would put like a towel around my TV so you couldn't see the like flashing lights under the door. Yeah. So I was sneaking around watching sports past my bedtime. What a rebel.
Well, it's probably better than maybe sneaking around watching porn or something. That's awesome.
That was my porn, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nothing like sweaty, stinky men in uniforms you can't see their faces. Hello.
I remember that Doug Gilmour season too, because my dad has been a Maple Leafs fan since he was probably out of the womb. Like, it doesn't matter. That's his team, and he is like forever with them. And I remember as a kid, I was a big Maple Leafs fan, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if my dad made me angry or something, but for a full year, I like decided to be a Canadians fan because that was my aunt who I loved. My aunt Pat, I'm named after her. Her name's Patricia, and so my parents just gave me Tricia. So I loved my aunt Pat because she played so many sports, and it kind of like I played sports, so I like really connected with her, and she loved like the Canadians are her team. So I remember for like a good year, I was like an adamant Canadians fan, and my dad, I remember being like, Maple Leafs.
It is fun to be like, sometimes you play around with like your allegiances with your parents and being like, will dad be mad at me? And it's also sometimes fun to have that rivalry when you're watching sports of like, I'm rooting for this team and you're rooting for that team. So
yeah, of course.
But then you went back to the Leafs.
I did go back to the Leafs. I like the Canadians too. Like, I had my aunt bought me a Canadians jersey, and she gave me so I think I just loved being a part of the rivalry a bit. And for me, I was never really into the NHL hockey, but the World Juniors was like huge in my house. Every Boxing Day, you watch the World Juniors, like that's what you did. And I remember like every year watching the World Juniors, like the men's and the women's, and I remember loving the women's. Haley Wickenheiser was like a huge idol for me, and when I was a kid, I wanted to be Haley Wickenheiser because she.
Did you play hockey?
I played hockey for 4 years. It was my least best sport, but I was still like decent at it. I think if I had been playing for a long time, I probably could have been good or had the motivation to be good in it. But at that time I was playing softball, and I'd been playing it for like a decade, and that was kind of my sport that I really worked hard at. But Haley Wickenheiser, I wanted to be her because she played both in the Olympics in hockey winter and softball in the summer.
Oh, I didn't realize she played softball.
Yeah.
What a rad lady.
I know, right?
Shout out to cool? Haley Wickenheiser.
Haley Wickenheiser, we love you. I love you.
We admire you. No,
Yes.
I'm the same. She was out there during this pandemic getting masks and delivering food to frontline healthcare workers. So we saw that, and I didn't forget it, even though there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since.
With Haley Wickenheiser?
No, just like in the world.
Oh, in the world. I was like, don't ruin my dreams. It's funny to me that hockey was your first like big sport. Like, did you?
Hockey was like what I got really into, but that's probably, and like, not to be, pooping on bandwagoners, but like at that time they were so hot. I also watched the 92-93 World Series.
Well, I think we all did.
I think that one of the most inspirational moments, and I'm sorry I just jumped from hockey to this, but was watching Joe Carter hit that home run.
Yes.
I was like, I cannot believe that under that pressure, that you get the right pitch, that you'd be able to see it, that you can execute exactly what you needed under all of that pressure. It was so inspiring.
It is so inspiring.
And I do feel, and I still feel like maybe as an artist, like that's a big connection that I have, why I still admire sports and why I still enjoy it so much, is because watching people execute under that pressure. And like, what this is like. We got to go in auditions all the time. You get really nervous.
Yeah.
And how you just like have to breathe and then just like deliver, and it has to happen. And then especially when you're on set, right? Like, oh, there's all this money, and then the cameraman and everyone's just looking at you, and you have to deliver.
And you're like, here we go.
So you know what I mean?
Here's my one line.
We get that adrenaline. Oh, I'm a nurse again. Okay.
Yeah, but you do. You get that adrenaline. And I also remember watching that. I also recently rewatched that, I think last year, that entire game. When it was like Bautista and that in the bat 2015. That's when I rewatched it because I was so inspired. I was like, we're doing it again. And I got to go back and rewatch that incredible, because I was a huge Robbie Alomar fan. He was like, and Sandy Alomar, because I was a catcher. And so Sandy Alomar for me, because he played for the team name, the Cleveland, and I will not name their actual name.
The Cleveland baseball team.
Because they need to change their name. Get on it, please.
I don't name them either.
Cleveland, but he played for them, and I love Sandy Alomar, and I loved Robbie Alomar. But then I feel like this was my first moment of heartbreak as a kid, loving like a celebrity or something. When he spit on that umpire, I remember it broke my heart, because I was like, no, like that, you don't do that. That's so disrespectful and like so rude. And it is so upsetting when you find out that you're like sports heroes, celebrities, who ever kind of do something that you didn't expect that they would do. It really is heartbreaking. And I remember as a kid that Robbie Alomar, it broke me. I was like, why did he do it? Like, and then I stopped being a Robbie Alomar fan, because I was like, no,
you were done with him.
I was done. And like now as an adult, I've like gone back to him. I'm still like, oh, but it's Robbie Alomar. I was like, maybe he made a mistake, and I don't keep up tabs with him, so I don't know what he's like now. I know that he and Joe Carter came and played with the Comedy Softball League though. Yeah. I think it was last year, which was really amazing and kind of like bumped him up in my books a little bit, where I was like, that's kind of cool that, you know, they would do something like that. And apparently they were both really lovely and very nice and kind people. So that made me go, I think the little Trish inside me go, okay, Robbie Alomar, we're good now. What sport are you more into now? If it started out as hockey, are you still a big hockey fan, or do you lean more? I mean, I feel like you're more of a basketball fan, but I don't know. I feel like you're into it all. But
well, I mean, how do you come off of that NBA championship run and not just like eat, breathe, and sleep Raptors basketball? And they were so good this season. They were undeniably good, and they were missing what everyone thought was the player for our team. And so to me, I'm like, I love the underdog feeling, even though they shouldn't be underdogs because they're NBA champions. But everyone's just like, oh, they took out Kawhi. This is my lamb Kawhi now. They took out Kawhi, and now the Raps are nothing. And I just fucking love, and feels so Canadian that they would persevere and be and still be the underdogs to everyone because we don't have LeBron, whatever. Like that's like those are the everyone's favorite. And I just love the underdog story that is Canadian sports.
Of course.
And when they come from behind and that no one's expecting it, and like the heart and passion that you see on that team is just beautiful. Like Kyle Lowry and like Norman Powell just destroying it near the end of the season that they didn't know was ending. So yeah, it's hard for me. Like, I guess it's like you have, this maybe is a terrible analogy as a mother, but you have 3 kids. I'm going to say basketball, hockey, and basketball. And like one is just doing so well. And no, you know what? It's a bad analogy because you should still love all your kids.
You should.
But okay.
But we're not talking about kids. We're talking about sports. So
we're not actually talking about kids. Yeah. But
now we have an insight into your life.
Inspiring. Whoever's doing better, whoever knows more words, I'm all about them. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think the Raptors have taken more of a center stage in my life. Although I have to say I'm so excited about what the Blue Jays look like with this, the whole new, like, it feels like they've gotten a full makeover.
Yeah.
And like with all the new players like Bo Bichette and Kevin Biggio and Vladdy Guerrero Jr., obviously.
Yeah.
Danny Jansen. There's so many. And like, I guess Nate Pearson, who, I don't know, we haven't seen him yet. But the end of their season last year gave me a lot of hope, and they were dang fun to watch. They were so fun to watch, and I felt like they were just starting to like gel and really get going.
Well, and that's the nice thing about all of these about these sports teams too, is like, especially with like the Blue Jays now having a brand new team with all of these new guys, it does have that excitement of like, what are they going to do? Are we going to be able to watch them grow as an ensemble over the next, I mean, I use the word ensemble because I'm in theater and the arts, but ensemble it is. It's like team ensemble as this group of people who, like, you clearly can tell they're getting to know each other, getting to know how they play with each other. And it's so fun as like, especially in Canada with sports, because we only have one, well, I mean, minus hockey, but we only in baseball and
one basketball, one baseball.
So when that team does well, but even still with hockey, it's like you have Vancouver, we only have 4, right? Or no, 5 now because of Winnipeg.
Montreal, Ottawa.
Oh, 6. So 6.
Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg. Vancouver.
So 6. But even still with 6, it's like if one of those teams is doing well, I feels like the whole nation kind of comes together in a way. So when the Raptors were in the championships, that like it was
chills.
I know,
chills.
I do too. Me too.
Hopefully it's not COVID.
Oh, please, God, no.
But you know when you get a random chill and you're like, that's not COVID, is it? Anyway. Yes, that's like, it excites me, and that's what's so beautiful about it is the unification. We hadn't had that since 92, 93.
Yes. Like, that's crazy.
And like to be in this city and watch it and like watch all those Jurassic Parks or their version of that across the country, and then they re-aired it a year later because that's just what we needed to like survive. We needed any little bit of happiness, and they're like, here, thankfully you guys just had this. It's like eating leftovers, and you're like, it's so
good. Thank you so much for this. We needed this.
And like truly got into those games all over and been like, oh yeah, I remember that, and now I remember that, because it's nice to watch them without the stress.
Oh God, because it was so stressful.
You saw me.
Well, I know we watched all of those last games, like the championship games. We watched together. We watched all of them, and it was because that year also was the year that I had decided I wanted to get into basketball. Like I find every year I try to really keep up with a sport just to like for my own brain, and like, you know, it's fun. It's fun to sit around with friends and watch a Canadian team succeed and do well. And that year was basketball. And so I was lucky having you with She the People for us to like be able to actually like talk about it and like have it explained to me, and you and Ann Pornell, who I love, and Ann is such a huge sports fan too. And just having the two of you between me always talking about it, like hyped it up for me too. And watching those championship games were the most intense thing. They were like, we were on the floor because you want it
I'd be
so bad.
squatting and doing weird poses. Like I was so full of anxiety in like the most exciting and exhilarating way. Ugh.
And like, and also watching this team work so hard and work so well together. Like it wasn't even the fact that they had Kawhi. It truly was just watching a team mesh so very well that they were performing at a height that we hadn't seen them perform before. And to watch them do that and, like I said before, like grow as a team. And I think that's why now they're doing so well, even without Kawhi, because everyone thinks, oh, Kawhi is the be-all, end-all. But I'm like, if Kawhi wanted to stay, he could have. He just decided, he wanted to be closer to his family and do all of those things. But what's amazing is that watching it now, they're still that team. That team is still there because the rest of them have worked so hard, like Lowry, to like make that team mesh, and they communicate well with each other, and it's such a beautiful thing to watch.
They're like the ultimate ensemble, especially because they're not about their own stats and their own points and their own fame. They're very much about like, our goal is to win this series. Yeah. And I think Kawhi really gave them this like stoicism and like not celebrating and like running around doing airplanes when they score. Like they'd have moments, but mostly it was just like, we won that game, moving on. Next game, not till we have the finals, not till we have the O'Brien, like.
Yeah, it wasn't a performative statue.
Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't
statue. What do you call it? A trophy.
But I wish they would. If you won like a World Series, you bring in a huge statue.
Yeah, of just baseball.
Just a baseball.
But I watched them so many years, and what they got from Kawhi was that stoicism, and then they got confidence because they'd made it far, but LeBron would always stop them. Yeah. Always, always, always. And they couldn't get past it. And I think after a while, it started to affect their confidence as a team, because they were like, we are playoff ready. We are so great in the regular season. And Kawhi just like pushed them past this like limit that they had never gone before. Yeah. And now that they've been there, they're like, we can do this. Yeah. We absolutely can do this. And we didn't, it's not that we don't need it. It's just like Kawhi left us better than he found us, in that now we're a better team. And even though he's not with us, we're still better. Like we still went, we knew territory, and they like championed and they won. And so I think, and I realize this season, everyone's going to say it has an asterisk around it, but I'm like, I'm so pumped for them to continue doing what they started. And I don't care that anyone says that, because you can't say there's an asterisk beside a team that goes back to back. If they go back to back, you can't say that's an asterisk. So you're like, no, they were still great, and they didn't have Kawhi. Yeah, and they didn't have, and I think that's why this season in particular, which is unfortunate that got cut short so far. Yeah. But when they come back, I think they will continue with that confidence and that non-performative. I think that's what ruins certain players too in sports, is that you start watching them become really cocky, and there's a difference between confidence and being cocky, right? It's like, yeah, there's a difference of being like confident and being like, fuck yeah, I went out there and I worked hard and I played hard and I did my best, as opposed to being like, look at me, look at this slam dunk. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. It makes him a team player. It totally does. Because it's like, if you're cocky, you still need it for you. But if you're confident, you're like, I don't have it tonight. I'm going to keep passing it to Powell, who seems to. And you know what? That gets us the win. And you know what? Maybe I'll have it the next game. But it's like the confidence to know, I don't have it tonight, but I will have it again. And it doesn't mean that I'm no longer a great basketball player. It just means like sometimes your shot's just not happening, right? Yeah. And to share the glory, which I found, which makes it kind of hard to defend. When you're like, oh, it's Ibaka's night tonight. Oh, look at OG Anunoby coming out of nowhere. Look at Norman Powell, who just, I'm like, you're unstoppable. So I love it. I agree. Yes, we both agree. Should we have another round, Paloma? How are you feeling? I'm going to crack open another beer. Well, I'm still drinking this, but I'm just, I'll stop talking. But yeah, let's keep going. Drink. I'm like sweating.
It's so hot.
There's like no break from it. It's disgusting what's happening.
Well, and that's something that I like also love is how passionate you are about sports. Like, you know so much. Like, you truly are like so. I don't know what the word. Maybe I don't know if educated is the word I'm looking for, but that's what I'm going to use. Knowledgeable. Thank you. That is the correct word.
I'll give you the word to describe me. Thank you.
The apricot saison is a higher percentage than I thought it was, and with the heat, I am woo.
Woo!
But that is something that I love is that you are so knowledgeable in the genre of sports. And for someone who is female identifying, I feel like we don't get to hear those. We don't get to hear like folks like you speak about sports, which is why I love, and which is why I was like, I want to get Paloma talking about sports, because I think it's so important to also comment on that, where anytime I listen to a sports podcast or anything, it's always men. And I like dudes, and I get it. Sports is a very male dominated field. I guess all this is to say that, like, as somebody who is, female identifying and you are a huge sports fan, what does it feel like kind of being in that world a little bit? Like, like when you have conversations with other people, like how do people handle it? Like, how do people handle it? Or like, cause I know like a lot of my like male friends who are big sports fans are very down to like talk about it, but to have somebody who is female identifying coming in and being just as knowledgeable and having this passion for it, how does that affect you, I guess, is what I'm kind of asking.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it was just like sports information was just something I retained naturally just from listening to the radio or something when I'd listen to updates or what's going on with whatever. So it was just something I naturally listened to. But it is, men are like, oh, you know what a rebound is. And you're like, damn, that's basic.
Yes, like, we all played basketball at one point. Come on.
And I also, I played basketball in high school, in grade school and then high school, but only for 1 year in high school because I didn't make the team. Oh. But boy, did I play with heart. Yeah, people are sometimes impressed that they're like, the players and you're not just a bandwagoner. And I'm like, no, man, I watched them lose all the time to LeBron, for example.
Yeah.
And season after season after season. And I was disappointed when they traded away DeMar DeRozan, but and hindsight is 2020, but also just like, I get it. Like that combo wasn't working, even though we love DeMar DeRozan. So I feel like just people are sometimes a little taken aback, and then they're like, kind of cool. But like it's I'd say it's things like hockey where you're just sitting there watching like 4 white men who are, a lot of them are previous, like were NHL hockey players, and they're just kind of droning on about this play. Well, yeah, Kaepernick needs to. I mean, Kaepernick doesn't even play.
I was like, isn't that football in the U.S.?
now it looks like, yeah, sure, she knows what she's talking about. So they'll just be like, Austin Matthews, he needs to get in the zone more. I don't know. They need to liven that shit up. And I think for sure having retired players is really beneficial. And that's the inequality, right? That we're talking about, is that a lot of the broadcasters, a lot of the managers, it's all men.
Yep.
But I think it's kind of time. It doesn't just have to be beautiful blonde women being the sportscaster journalist. Because like, I've got so many fun questions. I've seen people ask athletes questions and they're not that great at it. And I don't know. I feel like I would love to work where I could like talk and interact with athletes and talk about the political aspects of it, because I get pretty fired up about that stuff.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think you should be a broadcaster. I think that's another career for you, Paloma.
That's as long as it doesn't affect my acting career.
It never will, and it never will. Also, like, sports are kind of coming back soon, right?
Yeah. And I would be the first person to be like, damn, I miss sports. I really, really do. I am very concerned about sports returning. I feel like the NBA like stopped their season when one player got COVID. And now players all over the place are getting COVID. The MLB, like the Jays literally had to leave 12 players behind, not because they all have COVID, but because they were exposed to one player who did. I don't know. I feel like and maybe I'm wrong, because it's very hard to know all the ins and outs of everything and how it's run, because this is like what they present to you, and then this is what's going on behind the scenes. And is it like, is it wealthy, rich team owners wanting to make more money or milk at whatever they can out of the season, on the backs of supremely talented athletes, some of which I believe want to get back to it because they love the sport. They love it.
They put their life into it. I get it. It's your life. It's like, we want to get back to theater. We want theater to reopen.
Absolutely. But time's a ticking, right? Like, we don't get younger when a year of COVID hits, but I also lose 1 to 2 seasons.
Yes.
Like, that's it. And then there's also those contracts, and then you're going to be traded. Like, I understand it's all very complicated. Of course.
But there's also like the safety issue too, of like, as much as I want like as much as I want theater to come back for us, as much as I want it to come back for us, so we have careers and jobs, I'm also not willing to put my life fully in danger yet, or other people's, because I'm like, right now the people that are probably going to be going to those events, if they're open to the public, are the people who aren't being smart.
That's a very good point.
You know,
like the people who are already like, oh, I'm bored of my regular life and I just can't wait to get back to normal. And you're like, but it's still not quite normal. And we're doing so well in Toronto. And I fear, because I know the government has like waived like the quarantine rules for like the NHL, like the teams that are going to be coming in and out of our country, where are they going to be coming in and out of our country from? The United States, which is just dripping with COVID.
The epicenter.
Just soaking wet.
Like it is
and doing very little, it seems, to get back on track.
Yes.
And so this whole sports thing coming back in here is like, it feels like, yeah, cool. And I will watch. I know I'll be terrible and I'll probably watch, but like,
we need it. People need it.
It's not worth it to have our country shut down again.
No.
And I've gone this long, and I'm like, let's just start 2021. Let's everyone calls this one a bust, and I'm so sorry. LeBron, you lost a prime year of your life. I'm so sorry. Like, some people that are closer to being traded away and all of that. And I think that sucks, but it sucks for everyone. And you're very, very wealthy people. And there are people who are going into debt and are being evicted from their apartments because they can't pay rent. So truly, let's just stay away from the United States and wear a mask. Sorry, I'm ranting and I'm drinking.
Please rant and drink away. I think what's also really respectable right now is how many players are actually saying, I'm not going to finish out this season, because I need to take my safety and my family's safety. And I really respect that, because I'm like, one, that is putting your career not on the line, but like a little bit, like you're putting your career on the line by
they lose all that money.
They lose all that money. And I think it's also very noble of the athletes that are coming forward, being like, I can't do this. I have to take my own life and my family's life into consideration. And
like David Price, for example, turned away $12 million because he's like, I'm not going to play out this season, and he takes that hit, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And honestly, on top of all of this and all of this COVID, to say it's also questionable whether it's appropriate to be distracting us, which is part of what I think keeps us from thinking about social injustices, is us being constantly, but this and then this TV show, and I'm busy doing work. And now we're not thinking about how Black, Indigenous people, mostly primarily, are being treated by law enforcement and systemically just everywhere. Now that we've had all this time, we have to face it. And now if it's like, but I could also watch basketball or I could watch baseball, it does kind of,
absolutely,
it just takes us away from it. So it does feel in a way like this is the push-pull, and we have to remain strong and vigilant so that we can keep, pursuing like justice for BIPOC people, LGBTQIA2S plus.
Yes.
Is that all the letters? I hope I did that right.
I think so. Yeah, I think you got it right. You can also do, because I know now also with LGBTQIS plus is that you can also do 2S LGBTQIA.
2S, so it's like Two-Spirit, and then all the letters.
And then all the letters, because obviously the Two-Spirit folk were here first, and they should be first. So
that's a great. I didn't realize that.
As far as I know, and I think that's the same with like BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and it's like So as far as I know that, I mean, I could be wrong and I should really research it, but I've been trying to use that more because in my brain I go, well, Two-Spirit folk were here first, so they should go first. They should be first in that list. COVID right now is a blessing in disguise in terms of the social injustices that have been happening around the world because, like you said, people aren't distracted by things anymore. We have time to actually sit and actually listen and actually educate ourselves and pay attention to what's going on. So
I kind of like look at this ugly reflection of ourselves in the mirror and be like, this is what we are. This is who we are. Yeah. And it's not just white people or cis people or hetero people that have to do this looking. It's so deeply ingrained like a tree root in us that we don't realize the behaviors of it. And as we're doing this, I'm peeling away these layers and realizing that wasn't okay. And it's the same with like feminism, right? You're like, that was misogynistic. That is patriarchal. And like, we're peeling away these layers and we're seeing what we really are. And then we have to make peace with that and try to move on and be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Paloma, we're riled up, but can we do...
Should I open my other beer?
Open it up, yes.
Oh my God. This is the kind of night where you get a hangover because you're sweating all your...
You're sweating everything out. You're becoming extremely dehydrated.
Oh, man. Honestly, I could go sit in the kiddie pool right now.
Well, I don't see why you can't.
You know what? Because I'm on a podcast. That's why. Because I'm doing this.
I'm sorry to keep you from your pool. Okay. All right, Paloma, are you ready? I haven't named this yet, so if you think of a name, I still don't know what to call it. Right now, I'm just calling it a lightning round. Are you ready? I'm going to put the timer on the clock, and then we're just going to try and get through what we can, and we'll probably answer all of them anyway. Yeah. Don't answer them fast. Answer them at your will. We'll have a joke at a time. Yes. Who cares?
Okay.
It's just a fun, dumb game I made up. Okay, here we go.
Why you just call it fun, dumb game?
I mean, why not? Fun, dumb game. Fun, dumb. Okay, here we go. Okay. What is your worst party fail?
Party fail?
Yeah. What's your worst party fail?
Oh, God. I remember being in high school and I got so baked that I couldn't look up. Like, I couldn't look past, like, maybe someone's, like, waist. Like, for some reason, I just could not look up. I got so high and everyone's like, you're green. You know, I don't know if you ever got this when you're a kid or like a kid, whenever, getting stoned and everyone's like, you're so green. And you're like, it doesn't do anything for me.
And you're like, so but I'm greened out.
And like just trying to be like, I got to go to the bathroom and how much you have to like rev yourself up, especially that I cannot raise my eyes past like a certain point. So I'd say that was a huge party fail. So embarrassing.
I love it. I had one of those too, though, and it was at a like, it was after a Jesus Christ Superstar, like, what was it? A Jesus Christ Superstar cast party, in high school. And in high school, and we did it, and we went off to, this older man was in the show, and he had on the peninsula in New Brunswick, outside of Kennebecasis Valley on the peninsula. And we went and we stayed and he had chickens running around and it was solar powered house and we were going to tent and it was the first time I ever smoked weed. And I don't know if something else was in it because everything was like a snapshot photo. It was like, pew, pew. Like I remember it like it was yesterday.
And you're just trying to like look around and be like, is this?
And there's like chickens everywhere. Okay, let's keep going on this fun little game. Okay,
I love it.
What's your favorite song to dance to?
Probably anything by Robin.
Okay, yeah. Like, are we talking new Robin or like 90s Robin too? Like, show me love and what it's all about. All right.
Okay, for sure. But probably new stuff.
Robin.
Like, absolutely. I love all Robin, but like,
I just want to see how big of a Robin.
Girlfriend. See, this is why I don't.
I just wanted to know if you were like how far back your Robin fandom went.
But Show Me Love is great. Absolutely. But I'm thinking more, I guess,
Okay. We're at happy hour. What's the first drink you order?
If I have to have like a good strongy, I'm gonna have something like with gin. Probably like I could do one gin and tonic because it's too sweet otherwise, or like a sick gin, maybe a little bit of like lime cordial and like soda water.
Who are you, Anne of Green Gables?
I don't know, just like a splash, just to like make it a little something. But I mostly love citrus and gin. So something ginny.
Okay.
Gin.
Okay. If you could play one sport right now, what sport would you play? And if you
Basketball. 100%.
Absolutely. Okay, great.
100%.
Absolutely. Okay.
Like, I wish I could be a professional basketball player. Like, inside this heart, this little tiny 5'6" Mexican woman wants to be Serge Ibaka's body and play basketball.
I love it.
100%.
Okay, what's your personal motto?
I guess I still try to like struggle with just being like caring about what other people think. So just trying to be like, fuck it, probably like fuck it. And that very specifically referring to like, don't care what other people think. Don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. I don't care. So I had to just keep myself on the train of like, I don't give a shit if people don't like me for this choice or for what I'm saying or for what I'm doing on stage, especially creatively. So it's fuck it.
Amazing. Toronto Maple Leafs, Blue Jays, or Raptors?
You can't ask me to choose between my children.
Yeah, I know. I assumed that.
But right now, it's the Raptors. But don't tell my other kids.
I won't tell them. It's between us. And the final question. At the end of the night, the party is winding down. You head home. People are heading home. You're heading home. How do you want people to remember you?
How do I want them to remember me? Like, what attributes would I have them name me as?
Yeah, or how do you want to be remembered at the end of a really fun night at a party?
Fun and funny.
Yes.
And charming.
I love that. Yes.
See, I tried on that cute voice that my son has learned from me.
And you I was completely sold. Oh my gosh, Paloma Nuñez, this has been the most lovely conversation I have had. I had a great conversation with Tom last week too. I'm just so happy to be able to chat with my friends right now during these COVID times and have really incredible conversations. And you're just such a wonderful, incredible human being, and you're so like inspiring,
funny, and
charming, and you do so many different things. You wear so many different hats, and I'm just as your friend and colleague, I'm just always so proud of everything you're doing.
But can I also say thank you, and like you're killing it, and I'm so proud of you for like putting up and creating your own work that like really inspires you. And Tricia, I love you, heart of gold and most wonderful and funny and very talented woman. So I have to say
that's so
the
nice.
Accolades that you have. Yeah, you're
That's
amazing.
very kind. Thank you, Paloma.
Give me your cues.
Okay, I was going to ask, are there any causes? Like what I'm trying to do also with this podcast is try to let our listeners beware of some amazing causes that are doing some incredible things in the community. Do you have some that you'd like to chat about right now?
Well, I think I'm very passionate about like defunding the police and Black Lives Matter in Toronto. So I think if you're looking for somewhere to support, I would specifically say Black Lives Matter Toronto and supporting defunding the police. There's defunding.ca. But I'm also really passionate about the Obsidian Theater, which it really supports Black artists and creating and showcasing their work and their voices. So that's if you're into the arts and you want to support an organization that does that, Obsidian Theater, which featured Brandon Hackett. So I love Brandon Hackett. Like one of my, and that's truly why I chose it, because you like Brandon Hackett.
I love Brandon Hackett. Though both of those causes, we're gonna slap like a slap shot. We're gonna slap.
We're gonna dunk.
We're gonna dunk those causes and in the description, so you can check them out. So you can donate if you have the means, and if you don't have the means, you can just read up on what they're doing in the community, as well as maybe they're looking for people to donate time. So if you have the time to donate, maybe that's something you can do as well. Paloma.
And if I can throw in one more, the other one is just the Bad Dog Theater, which is run by Coco Galore, who's a Black queer woman who I think is doing an incredible job. And they are very much trying, like struggling during COVID times, and they always have great shows on. So please check out baddogtheater.ca, and you can probably see a bunch of shows. If you're able to donate to support them, you can, but you can also watch for free.
Yes, you can watch for free. And I just have to say that my dog Maggie is barking nonstop right now. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
Hear it.
Okay, well maybe, but she's being a bit of a bad dog, or or she is just like super pumped about the three amazing things that we just spoke about. And yes, Bad Dog Comedy, Bad Dog, I guess they're Bad Dog Comedy TV now, are doing some incredible shows that they have Monday through the weekend. And they have these new 4:30 shows that are just a delight. A couple that I'll name are like High Tea with Jonas Charlie, Fitness Wigs with Kirsten Rasmussen, and then evening shows. There are things like Never Have I Ever with Daphne Joseph, Hook Up, which is an amazing show. I believe it's a show called Sleepover. With
that's one I haven't heard.
Sleepover with Ophira Caliph.
Wonderful. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great. And Ayaka's Kitchen is another 4:30 show?
Is another 4:30 show that I love
so
Ayaka. Where can people follow you, Paloma? Where should people try to check you out at?
I'm on Twitter at Paloma Nuñez, or on Instagram at the Paloma Nuñez.
Ooh.
Really, really challenging to find me. Just my full name.
Well, Paloma, I just adore you. I love you. You're such a good friend, and you're such a talented woman. And I just hope for the best. And this is I don't know why I said hope for the best. Like, oh my God.
The future when I see you later this week.
When I see you later this week, and I can't wait. And can we just cheers out the pod with our there we are. Yes, cheers it out. I love you.
Cheers, baby.
Thank you so much for being
too.
a part of the podcast. And I'm sure I'll have you again soon.
Please. Thank you so much.
Always.
What a treat.
What
this
a
is
treat.
so fun.
Okay, I love you so much, and I'll talk to you soon, all right? Mwah.
Okay. Mwah.
Paloma Nuñez, everyone. Oh, thank you so much, Paloma, for being my second guest on One More Round with me, Tricia Black. What a delight, and I really hope that the Raptors continue to be NBA champions forever. I think they are going to come back from all of this into the season and just dominate like they have been dominating, and I'm very, very, very excited to see that happen. Make sure that you follow Paloma on Twitter at Paloma Nuñez, or on Instagram at the Paloma Nuñez. And we're going to be dropping in the comments on both the visual podcast and here on the audio podcast the links to Black Lives Matter TO, Obsidian Theater, and Bad Dog Comedy Theater. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at its_Tricia Black. You can check out my website, it's triciablack.com. You can follow the pod on One More Round podcast on Instagram. If you're loving the show so far, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, give us a rating if you like. If you hate the podcast, let your enemies know so that they can download it. Either way, please help me spread the word. I would appreciate it, and I appreciate you sticking out and listening as we go along this podcast journey. I've started a new bonus episodes called Hot Takes that are going to be coming out. I don't know if they'll come out every Monday, but pretty much probably every Monday. Right now, I have one out that is about Below Deck, because I am super into Below Deck right now, as we all know, I'm sure. So you can check those out. And our guest next week, it's not just one, it's two for the price of one. An incredible improv duo from here in Toronto, and one of them is the new artistic director of Bad Dog Comedy Theater. We have the wonderful, beautiful, talented, incredible Coco and Daphne, and we sit down and we talk everything from improv to Daphne's arts and crafts to a lot about Game of Thrones. Daphne is just watching season 1 of Game of Thrones, so that is going to be an incredible episode, and you won't want to miss it. So once again, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a rating or review if you like the pod, and if you don't, tell your enemies. We'll see you next week for One More Round with me, Tricia Black, and no East Coast Kitchen Party is complete without a rousing musical number that, again, Bull says we had the best time of our lives, but also it's time to go home. So here's that for you now, and we'll see you next week. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back, so let me root for the home. peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1,